What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I'm joined by Tyler, and we did it. We saw Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, as if it was a huge accomplishment by us, Tyler. The movie...
And hold on, and we were on opposite sides of the country and happened to see it at the same time somehow.
Same time. Yeah, insane. So, here's what we're going to do. This is a conversational review. We don't give review scores if this is your first time watching a review, because it probably is for a lot of the Pirates community. We talked about the after credit scene. We didn't talk about the movie, Tyler and I. So we're just kind of going to go at it fresh, which I think and Tyler agree, like, it's going to be a cool energy for this video right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out spoiler free. We are not going to spoil a single thing. You can call us on it if we do. Spoiler free. Then once we can't talk about anything else, we're going to spoil the certain parts. But again, like I said in the past videos, it's going to be for review purposes. We're just going to kind of critique the movie. In addition, quickly, Sunday, Tyler's going to go over his Pirates of the Caribbean 6 revision, how we had the previous video. We're going to redo we learned from 5 and its after credit scene and kind of remake that video. That comes out Sunday. Monday, Tyler and I are just going to have a conversation about Pirates 5. Anything we want to talk about, completely spoiler-filled. If you have anything you want to talk about, leave it in these comments right here for this review. We will address anything and everything we seem fit to do. We'll do that on Monday. So anything you guys want to talk about, leave it in this video. We'll talk about it in that video. Tyler, what did you think of this movie?
Well, I will start off by saying I did love it. I definitely loved it. But I do not think it was the best Pirates of the Caribbean film.
I think At World's End is far better.
What's fun, so see, I'm still, because again, with my weird, some days I like Dead Man's Chest better, sometimes I like At World's End better. Yeah. Whatever day today's day is, and right now 2 stands out a lot to me for whatever reason. Maybe
it actually does to me too, yeah.
I don't know why, but I put 2 first, and I put 5 second, and then I do At World's End.
Wow.
Actually. Yeah. But that's today. Tomorrow, I don't know.
Yeah. So what do you think of the actual? So how was the movie?
It was. I really liked it. I really did like it. I love Henry and Karina.
They're great.
I freaking loved.
They're fantastic.
I actually think they're like easily way better than Will and Elizabeth, who I did like them, but just clearly not as much as Henry and Karina. Man, I really like them a lot. I actually really like Karina a ton. Like I've never really liked any of the Pirates of the Caribbean female leads. She was actually usually, and I'm not like a sexist. Usually, I don't feel that female leads are that strong in movies. She was a very strong character. She was the main woman.
She was the main character.
Like, I don't even look at it like that. Yeah, she really like pulled that movie a lot, in my opinion. She was good.
Yeah.
And Henry, when I saw the first thing that adult Henry did, like when he's fighting and like when he did a lot of stuff,
yeah,
I said to myself, this is my star of Pirates 7, just like I thought. I like that kid a lot.
Yeah.
I can see him, I don't care what Jerry Bruckheimer said earlier, I can see him carrying those two together.
Yeah.
I can absolutely see them carrying a Pirates of the Caribbean film. Especially if they had other support, like if Gibbs and some of them were still in it, maybe, or just some of the crew. Those two really stood out to me a lot.
Absolutely.
Jeffrey Rush did really good as Barbosa.
Leave Jack until the end.
He was a really good character.
Leave Jack till the end.
Yeah, I will. Really loved Barbosa a lot. Salazar, the villain, he was definitely a very good villain. Didn't understand them.
Yeah,
as much as I hoped.
Yeah.
It was pretty weak. Like, I didn't understand him.
Weak.
Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I didn't really understand him quite at all.
He did it because pirates killed his father and his grandfather. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's not strong.
That's not a good enough reason to be like that brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you kill everybody and you leave one. Like, okay.
Menacing, though?
Dead Men Tell No Tales makes sense. Huh?
Menacing,
he was scary.
Yeah, he was.
He was scary. The effects for all of the effects in the movie were very good.
Yeah.
It was definitely a Pirates of the Caribbean movie,
Absolutely.
especially the opening that I
Uh,
won't say, but like especially how we're introduced to Jack Sparrow in this movie. Um,
uh,
it was that was part that whole opening sequence with him that was Pirates of the Caribbean, and
yeah.
then seeing how they all meet up, that all worked, which I was wondering how that was going to go.
Hmm.
But yeah, I definitely really, really liked it a lot. I just don't, and I'm kind of surprised on it, almost slightly disappointed, to be honest, that it is not, maybe because I just hyped it up, or we hyped it up maybe so
We hyped it
much.
up a lot.
Um, but absolutely, like, because this is the end of basically my spoiler-free section, like what I have to say, kind of.
Yeah.
Absolutely go see it. Like, there's no reason, if you're watching this, you should have already seen it. If you
Hmm.
have not seen it yet, you need to go see it right now, or like as soon as you can,
In your time
because it's
schedule.
definitely it's yeah whenever it works for you. But definitely one of the best. I will say one of the best um, Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and a very very good movie in general. Like a very good very fun movie
Yeah.
to watch, and it has all types of emotion throughout it too,
Hmm.
which I did enjoy a lot. Which was absolutely lacking in the like almost all of the elements in this movie were lacking in the last movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, um, opening, ending, after credits scene, obviously the highlight. They did a lot of cool things in this movie. Firstly, and I've seen other people say it, the shots in this were beautiful. Some
Oh yeah, I forgot
absolutely
that. Some were really
without
good. The
spoiling
art
it.
style was good.
Yeah, without spoiling it because I won't say what it's for, but Tyler, when they were on that
Right.
island and the shot up,
Yeah.
that was I looked at Pat, I'm like, that's gorgeous. Like that was an amazing scene visually.
Or the scene where Jack's ship, the sun rising, and then there's Jack's ship right in the middle.
Hmm.
Like there was a lot of
Yeah,
really good
these
shots.
guys know how to do shots. So I mean,
Yeah.
um, character-wise, yeah, I completely agree. Henry, very strong. I don't understand the people that say he was kind of a generic.
No,
Like
not at all.
he was good. He had a lot of like charisma to him. He
Yeah.
he had way more charisma than Will did in the first one.
Way more.
Like Karina did steal the she wasn't the best character, I don't think, but she steered the whole plot. It was her story.
Yeah.
Without her, they had nothing. So she was the
Once
main
again,
character.
though, once again, Pirates of the Caribbean does
Yep, without Jack.
like Elizabeth was the main for the
Yep.
most part. That you could argue that Karina was the main and will continue to be the main character.
Yeah.
I think.
Right, yeah. I mean, I can see those two. So, I mean, the two new people were absolutely fantastic. Like, every scene they were in, they brought something new where I looked at them, and when they were talking, in like when he was tied up to the chair towards the beginning when they were talking, I looked and I'm like, these are the new people. Like, this isn't Angelica and Scrum and Blackbeard. This is new people. Like it was cool to see. And then in terms of the act, and we'll do Jack Sparrow like a separate thing. Jeffrey Rush, phenomenal. I thought he wasn't in it a lot. I thought he'd be in it more. But the
Yeah.
scenes he was fantastic. He had like a lot of weight to his character in several scenes, obviously because of the plot that we won't spoil. But he had a lot of every scene he was in, he stole. Um, Supporting cast was pretty good too. Salazar was scary as he was very scary. He was arguably at times more intimidating than Davy Jones at times, but his whole
I'd
overall
say that.
story,
I would say that.
yeah, like when he had no, I won't say it. I won't say it. There were several scenes when I was scared. You see in the trailers him tapping his sword. I was scared
Yeah,
at
but I
those
didn't know
scenes.
why.
Right, yeah, I didn't know
Yeah.
why either. So those
Yeah,
scenes
no,
are
he was way more brutal than Davy Jones.
he was very
which is
brutal.
surprising.
He he's scary, and like they had to talk him down from like doing things, if you notice, you know what I mean? Like he was so hell bent on doing
Yeah.
one thing, like always doing something and moving on from it, and obviously a certain character kept talking him down from that. So Salazar as a scary villain was really good. I did like how he was used for the most part. Like his search for Jack was cool. His origin story, like we said, I don't think as soon as he said it,
No.
he said the pirates had when he said pirates had infected the seas, they had killed however he worded it, they killed my father and grandfather, and I was like, don't tell me that's it. I said that because
I was waiting for more.
I was waiting. Yeah. And now, as for that whole scene, the whole flashback, without spoiling it, I loved it. Young Jack was great in that scene. Like, the whole thing. That was a very, very good scene.
What I have to say has to be in the spoiler section. I can't say
we can tell. And here's the thing, and so this will be the end of my thing too, because a lot of this movie we have to spoil. There were some things that they did in this movie that they took creative assertions and they kind of stepped in and said, we're going to kind of rewrite how some things happened and work,
right?
And we're going to go off on that. And at first I was kind of upset, and now I'm more of thinking, okay, they're new guys, they really want to do this, I'm going to give them a chance, and I'll let them rewrite certain parts, because that's what they did, and I guess we just have to accept it. So, before spoiling things, I thought this movie was fantastic. I thought this movie was better than Pirates 4 and 1, slightly below 2, and then quite a bit, honestly, below 3, but that's just because I have a weird love for 3. But it's definitely my third favorite, and like I will watch. I'm gonna go see it 2 more times in theaters easily. I'm really happy. Like, I smiled. The first scene, I was like, this. Every time a ship came up through the water, the first time you see the Dutchman, which isn't really spoiling, I smiled. I was like, this is incredible. And then the after credits scene honestly could have made the whole movie by itself. So definitely see this movie. Now, Tyler,
stay till the after credits. Till the end. You gotta wait until.
And Tyler, I called that, by the way. Remember, I said it was gonna be after all the credits.
You did say that.
I did.
I was both mad and surprised.
I was happy that they pulled it like that.
The music, hold on, before the end, because the music was definitely one of the best. Yeah, it was probably one of the best, if not the best.
I think it was the best
that they've had in Pirates. Yeah. I forgot that until thinking about the credits, and that is one benefit of sitting through the credits. You get to hear almost the entire score, and it was really good.
Still not in spoiler territory, really fast with the music. What I loved about this movie is they had similar cues, literally from the old movies that they put back in, and it worked. Like
it worked.
We'll talk about it.
Arguably, it was almost better.
It was better.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Because you remember it from the past ones, and then it has a whole new meaning now.
But it felt new and fresh.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so we're jumping in the spoiler territory. We're going to spoil the movie. Do not watch this part if you have not watched the movie. Now, Tyler, we didn't talk about Jack, so we could talk about him whenever you want. All right, so Tyler, what did you think of Jack Sparrow?
To be quite honest, again, love Pirates of the Caribbean. You might have heard of our community series. Just a small, very few videos we've done, like 1 or 2. Honestly, a lot of times when Jack was on, I was extremely disappointed. I was also very upset with them for doing what they did. And I, quite frankly, almost didn't like him for the majority of what he was on. Remember when I was concerned through different teaser trailers and TV spots that it seemed like there was a lot of scenes where he talked funny, and he just didn't seem like Jack Sparrow. He didn't seem like the Jack Sparrow from 2 and 3, who is Jack Sparrow in my opinion.
Yeah. And even 4.
And in 4. That's true. And in 4. I just hate 4 so much, I don't even want to talk about it. But speaking of hate, I actually hate what they did to Jack Sparrow in this movie. Now, what I will say before I go into it a little more, thank God Jack Sparrow was back at the end of this movie, so that in 6 we'll have a frickin' normal Jack Sparrow. Yeah. And by normal, I mean just Jack Sparrow. Yeah. I can't believe, literally, Alex, the entire movie, he was so beyond blasted drunk. He talked weird almost the entire time. I don't know why they thought that would be a good idea for him to be like that in the entire movie, except for the last scene that he's in. The last scene, and the send-off with Jack Sparrow,
and I think
and the young Jack scene.
Yeah, and I'd even argue the Salazar Trident fight. I'd argue
No,
that.
he was drunk because trust me, you could tell by the faces he was doing.
Yeah,
He was still drunk.
but if we're drawing the line of like really extreme, he had a lot of really extreme moments. Then he had a lot of middle kind, and then he had a couple, very few like normal Jack Sparrow scenes. I agree with you, but I'll let you go and I'll say mine.
I'm almost done, but it was way too much. Like it was almost like a rich cake. That's how I would describe it. Like a rich, delicious chocolate cake that my sister makes, where you have one slice and you're like, this is really good, and then you go to have a little bit more, and you're like, okay, I shouldn't have done that. Well, they had a second slice of cake when they were writing Jack Sparrow stuff, because it was just like, okay, the scene was funny, but he didn't have to be that super drunk, making those faces and talking like that, like to make the scene like extra funny, which actually made it not as funny.
Yeah.
Like, I like why were they waiting for me? Why are they waiting for it? Like, I can't even do it, and I never want to. Like, I don't understand that. But when he says shark, like that I get because he was scared.
Yeah, that was good. Actually, that was cool. And actually, honestly, when he said when they said how did they do that, it actually sounded better and worked better in the theaters, in my opinion. I think it worked more.
Because there was background, because there was music that was kind of loud, so it kind of covered it up. Because so before he's about to get his head cut off, which we'll talk about that scene, which was hilarious.
That was good.
Before he's about to get his head cut off, and Karina's about to be hanged.
That was good. I like that part when they were arguing back and forth.
No, it was fine, but I wish he would have sounded normal, not still drunk. Like it was like the next day.
Oh yeah.
So like, why is he still that drunk?
Yeah.
Like the whole when we're introduced to him and he's inside the safe, that was funny. It was the one guy's wife. That was actually really funny. Like all of that. Like then the house, like they start pulling the house and all. That was actually really funny. Everybody in theater, which was packed, by the way, and I'm sure yours was too.
Yes, it was.
Like everybody was laughing. Like that was funny, and I'm like, yeah, this is Pirates of the Caribbean. It takes you think one thing's gonna happen, and then it's like no, and it's like it's way more. It's just beyond what you thought they were gonna do with that scene.
Yeah,
that's what they did, and I'm glad that they did it. But yeah, then I'm like, okay, hopefully he's done being drunk. No, and he's not done being drunk. He's drunk. He's still drunk, and it's like an hour later, he's still super drunk. And I'm like, it's been like 5 days now, movie time. Then he finally meets Salazar, and he's like, no, I can't, my map's run away. And like I'm like, how is he? He's more drunk now than he was like 10 minutes ago. It just that really upset me because I didn't want them to do that to the character because there's a lot of people who never seen Pirates of the Caribbean before, who are going into this movie now, and they might have not liked that. They're like, this is almost like Henry's reaction. This is the legendary Jack Sparrow. That's how I don't want people to feel because I want them to come back for 6.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I just don't get why they had to. I don't know why they had to do that for that long of the movie.
Right.
I just don't get it.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree. I thought I was waiting, and I was kind of like, like I was holding on to the scenes that he wasn't acting. Like when he was talking to Barbosa, I thought that was okay. Both times. When he was fighting Salazar, kind of when he got like his groove back, when he was jumping between cannons. And after the cannon shot the mast, the beast, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Like when he started like feeling it more, even when he was in the ship with Salazar when he got scared, which did make more sense because that reminds me a lot of because I just watched 3 another time a couple nights ago.
Davy Jones does that to him.
When Davy Jones does the squid thing at him and Jack screams, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that was cool. The ending. Like when he was looking through the eyeglass and then when he was sailing the ship, like you said, like he's back now. I understand what they did with this movie. I understand the position they put him in, and I don't think it's Johnny Depp's fault because that's what they gave him. That's what they gave him. He's supposed to be this guy who literally everything has failed on him.
Right, so it makes sense.
But I completely agree with what you just said, is he didn't need to do it for the whole movie. When he was back on the Pearl, everything should have just reverted back. Like, he should have been fine. And he was kind of fine at times when he was on the smaller ship. When he was talking to Henry, when he bluffed Karina and threw Henry overboard, that was okay. That seemed fine.
Right.
I'm trying to think of, like,
he wasn't exactly normal though.
No. But that's the thing.
It was like a blend.
When he so we'll talk about this. The last thing I want to say about when they were hanging on the anchor, when he said Hector and he threw down the sword.
Right.
That was good.
He was normal. He was normal. Yeah.
And then when they got pulled up, I really didn't like his send-off to him. And like what
was the send-off?
He said a pirate's life, Hector.
He tapped Henry's. Huh?
No, well before he said a pirate's life, Hector, when he was looking over the ship. And like he was.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah.
I didn't hear what he said.
And like how he was standing.
No. I thought he said a pirate's life, Henry.
No. He said Hector.
Because Henry looked at him.
No, that was before.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I believe you because I'm sure you paid attention.
He was saying it to Barbosa. Because he looked at him when he like their looks were, and we'll talk about Barbosa as a character and his death right in a second. But like their looks were fantastic. Even like the way they showed Jack's face when he fell, like that. Yeah. That one scene. That's what I wanted the whole movie. I was waiting for that scene of emotion because he does care. He actually cared. Because when he was drunk, he admitted to saying he was the best first mate he ever had. He said that, and he did mean it. So but yeah, like when they were all looking over the ship, and he said that, and then he gave Henry the book, which I actually thought that was kind of cool because he was kind of turning around there.
That was good.
He was acting normal, but I just didn't like the one line that he said goodbye to him, basically.
I didn't know that's what he said.
Yeah, so I mean, that was slightly disappointing, but. As a whole, what did you think of Barbosa? What did you think of how they did with him? And then what did you think of his death?
I actually love how they showed, like, really well, like, here's what has become of Barbosa.
Yeah, I loved
it. I like that. And what I will say, because this actually ties in, when we see Salazar, basically, he's released from the Bermuda Triangle, or the Devil's Triangle, and then then he destroys the first pirate ship. Yep. I'm like, that was kind of a pointless scene. Then we realized, that was one of the ships in Barbosa's, like, convoy, not convoy, but like collection,
fleet.
Almost.
Yeah.
Fleet, yeah. So I'm like, that makes sense now. But I really like how everything's very extravagant. Like, everybody looks very good. Everything's made, like, in gold. Like, I actually thought that was cool. And it makes sense. Like, he's got this sword. He's got all these ships. It makes sense that he'd be like that now.
When they showed the ship,
he's got connections.
Yeah, when they showed the actual ship, like the top of it before they went into his chamber, it was beautiful. Like all the shiny things on it.
It was super cool. Like, all the flags had trimmings of gold. Like, it made sense for the character. And what I'm glad that they did when he's fighting,
he got
kind of like in the middle-ish, he got cut.
Because he lost his ability. Yeah. Yep.
He's not exactly. He hasn't been having to do that stuff.
Yep.
He just wins so easily. He's like, well, I have 10 ships.
Right.
And he has a sword, and he hasn't had to fight, and he's getting old, and he's one-legged. So and those were all the reasons why. And because it's a spoiler section, and I know we kind of already said it, it makes sense that they killed him in this movie. Basically him getting cut in the arm it shows, like, there's not much more that Barbosa can do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's reached the point where he isn't the man he was in 3. He's not the person he was in 1 or even 4.
Right.
He just isn't. So it made sense that somebody has to go for a shake-up as you're introducing new characters. It makes sense for it to be him. But anyways, I really liked. I thought he was going to be in it not many more scenes, but I thought he was going to be in it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Jack. Now that I'm going back to Jack, I'm not going.
I thought the usage of Jack was good. I didn't think he was in too much.
See, I think that he was in a lot of it, but not. I wouldn't say too much of it, but he was in more than I thought he was going to be in.
Oh, really?
And Barbosa was in, yeah, Jack was in it more than I thought. Barbosa was in it only slightly less than I thought.
Yeah.
But Salazar was in it far less than I thought he would be. But I don't want to talk about Salazar yet. Now, for Barbosa's death, I really liked it. I actually am very happy
I love that
that,
scene.
yeah, I'm actually really happy that it was Barbosa that tells
Yeah, once the movie
Karina
started
that
going, it felt right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that, and then I like his response that it's like, who am I to you?
Treasure.
Or yeah, she said, "Who am I to you?" Right?
Yeah.
And he says, "Treasure."
Yeah,
But
that
I'm
was
glad
beautiful.
because,
Yeah.
and they set it up so early in the film, when he learns that, Salazar's destroying all of his ships, which contain all of his treasures, and then he says to Jack that he wants, to his other crew, and they're like, "Do you really want to double cross?" And he's like, I want to get like revenge on, for destroying my treasure." But then he realizes who she is, and then that's his true treasure, basically, as his daughter. So I actually really, that was good. I really like that. But if Jack said what you said he said, and I'm sure it is, and I just didn't catch it, I don't like that. That's how they ended Jack and Hector Barbosa's basically relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like Jack would have almost not said anything.
Yeah.
Like the look that he gave,
was
you can
good.
tell he cared a lot.
Yeah.
Like he when he threw down the sword, he didn't think that was what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So that when I saw that, I was actually happy too. Not happy like in a good way, but happy to see true, real Jack showing true, real feelings. But yeah, I feel like Jack, like once getting back aboard, like I feel like he would like have, a hand or both hands like on the edge of the ship, and like looking down and like just silent, like looking, and then someone says like, "Captain," and then like he walks over to the steering wheel.
Yeah. Now after he said Pirate's Life, and it kind of like your view, not the view of the camera, but the view of the person, I think me, shifts to Henry and Karina, because then after it shows Karina, Jack did do that. He did look down over the ship in kind of like this sad look. So I was looking for that, and so he did have that, and that's what I want. That's what I want. But
yeah, I just wish they would have showed that. Because like you said, he does says my best first man. And how he says, she's a horologist. I just thought you should know she's a horologist, or whatever. However he said it, like that was like friends teasing each other.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm glad they did that too.
Yeah, I mean, right. And so when Barbosa had the talk with Karina, when he was saying, "Who are you?" and then he said her name. He said Karina. These are the stars. And then when it showed Jack looking over his shoulder, that was a good scene too. Is Jack like processed that all really quickly and put it all together. But like as for Barbosa, yeah, I mean, I said before this movie that I thought Barbosa would be my favorite character. I think he was. If it wasn't him, it was the duo of Karina and Henry. But Barbosa would definitely be next. I thought the scenes he was in, like I said, so spoiler now, like we said, when they were all hanging upside down, I was like, oh my god, this is bad. Not that I knew because he wasn't going to die there, we all knew that. Actually, I was worried about those other two guys the whole time.
I was too.
Because Salazar was cutting down everybody, and like the first early scenes with Barbosa, he was scared. And Jeffrey Rush did a fantastic job of showing that. When Salazar
his hand shaking?
Yeah, his hand shook. He like licked his lips when he was turning with Salazar, and then when Salazar just started tapping his sword, Barbosa like was legitimately scared, and he had to talk him out of killing him multiple times by kind of making vague promises that just ended up working out. But I really did love his character. I love that they still had him be very smart. He had to work Salazar, and he had to work Jack, and how his sword is the thing that freed the pearl, which that is a thing that I can accept. That's not one of the things they reworked in it. I like that that his sword is the thing that can stab and break the bottle. That's cool. I actually like that part.
Yeah, it was
But
cool.
every like him and Karina, that worked really, really well. And then him talking to her when they were having the fight, and then finally like when they landed and when he said I got you, and then, yeah, like that was when she said who am I to you, treasure. Like that's a really good line.
Yeah.
That's like one of the better lines,
Yeah.
and that's probably the best line in the movie, but one of the better lines in the whole franchise. But knowing that he was going to die like we did, as soon as he came down on the anchor, I'm like, oh, Salazar's going to jump on, and he's going to have to jump on top of Salazar. So like I put that together as soon as he came down. But I just liked him. Like he had a lot of how he moved, and like after kind of figuring out she was his daughter, he moved heavy and like kind of depressed and sad in a way. Like I really
that was huge.
Kind of like hurt, like, oh shoot, like she's found her way. And
No,
he said that.
like,
he said that she
like
found her
part of
way
him,
back
like,
to me.
died.
Yeah. And then Jack.
That was.
Jack has a conversation with him, which was a good conversation. I wish they had one or two. Barbosa, I thought. I mean, he was a really good character. So really, Salazar, the ending, the beginning, and then we'll wrap it up. So, what'd you think of how they did Salazar in all, including his death? Well, we've kind of already talked about what we think, so maybe just skip ahead to the more important parts.
Yeah, I liked him, but I don't know, he's tough. Like he was a good villain, but it felt almost like a Marvel villain.
Yeah, I felt that
like,
actually.
yeah, like they're a good villain, but like way better than Blackbeard.
Oh yeah, by miles.
Unfortunately, not as good as Barbosa from Pirates 1, where I did understand like his motives.
Yeah.
It wasn't about killing people. It was about freaking relieving the curse so that they could eat and drink and feel.
Did you like him taking over Henry? Because that was kind of cool, I thought.
I didn't. I did. See, because it's confusing because they were kind of like ghosts. But what was weird was how they knew that they could do that, and how Salazar knew, like, well, the Trident will be able to free me. Like, how the frick do you know?
I guess he just
you know what I mean?
right?
Like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was honestly strange, though, to see Henry fighting Jack.
I like the fight.
Like, why that couldn't have been Salazar, I don't know. Because of the land. That's why. So I guess it makes sense. Because he couldn't step on land, so I guess it makes sense. But then Salazar was stepping on land when he held the Trident. Who cares? It's a movie.
He had the power, I assume.
He had the power of it, which was decently shown. I thought it was too silly when Salazar was like making Jack, like he was like throwing him around like in water. I think that was honestly unnecessary. I think that him showing the power that like he literally has control of the sea.
Yeah.
I think that was good enough. I was hoping that they would speed up whatever they were planning on doing with the Trident.
Yeah.
Now, because of some losers on YouTube, I was slightly spoiled to what happens to the Trident, but I didn't 100% believe it, honestly. But then when it happened, I'm like, okay, well, they were right. So they break the Trident to release all the curses. So that makes Salazar, his entire crew, his ship, everybody normal again, which is what allows him basically to die. Yeah. I honestly, when Salazar is like super happy, like that he's back, I honestly thought he was going to get stabbed right in that scene.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
I really did. Like I thought like Barbosa was going to be like, ha, and I'm like, oh, Barbosa didn't die. That was weird. But obviously that didn't happen. But the way that he dies, honestly, I like it because it was a sacrifice death. But from what we've seen throughout the entire movie of like what Salazar was like doing and stuff, I almost felt like it was like uneventful. I don't know if that's the right word. It was just like, oh, that's how he dies, huh? And it's like that's it. It's not like, oh, that was a crazy death on what, you know what I mean? Like there was no like trick to killing him. I thought there was going to be a whole trick, just like how Jack tricked him the first time. I thought there was going to be another trick.
Right.
But I mean, you could argue like breaking the trident was the trick, but it wasn't or like making him drown, but that wasn't planned.
Yeah.
So I wasn't disappointed in his death, but in a way I was, because I was just kind of expecting, because he was kind of like a brutal person, like you said, who didn't really think much. He just wanted to kill.
Yeah.
So to me, I feel like he'd be easily fooled. So I thought it was going to happen again.
Right.
And be like, curse that sparrow. Now here's one major problem, because Salazar directly connects to young Jack.
Yeah.
Here's one major problem that I have with what they did in the movie, which I should have said earlier on when I was talking about Jack, but I forgot. I can't stand, because it doesn't make sense, that Jack Sparrow supposedly got his Sparrow name from Salazar, because Salazar saw him in the crow's nest, mocking him like a sparrow, so then he called him Jack Sparrow, basically. He never called out to Jack. He never said, hi, Jack. He never said, F you, Jack. He never said anything. They literally, Salazar gets tricked by Jack. He says, follow him in. He gets tricked by Jack. They do a little stare down like, you just killed me. And he crashes and he dies. I was like, how did Jack know that Salazar called him Sparrow? He doesn't. They never spoke.
Yeah, well, but maybe that could have just been for a different reason.
What? So, but see, that's the problem. That's what I was saying to my girlfriend in the car. So Jack happens to be like, hey, you know what? Everyone should start calling me Sparrow, which just so happens to be the same thing that Salazar, the person I fear most, by the way.
Yeah.
Not Davy Jones, because he didn't meet Davy Jones at the time when he got the compass. But the person I fear most happened to also call me. That to me was unnecessary, because you can't back it up, because in your own movie you show they didn't even interact with each other.
Right.
Didn't even speak to each other. So how Jack knew somehow all of the crew died, because unlike what he does to other ships, everybody died, not one to tell a tale.
Right.
So like nobody knows that Salazar called Jack Sparrow, or Sparrow.
Yeah.
So that actually, it didn't ruin the movie, but it docked, and I don't give points, but it docked a lot because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And when you do stuff like that just to try to make a connection between, oh, this is why the villain relates to Jack, that didn't need to be done. He could just be pissed off for another reason, that he tricked them and he killed his whole crew along with himself, which Salazar, you could tell, is very selfish.
Oh, yeah. His crew didn't want to kill those pirates. He made them. Which was actually kind of cool, and I thought something could happen there with the crew, like the guy with his first mate, basically. He kind of had like something to him, and they didn't really expand upon it.
That's what I thought about.
I'll say a couple things, and then we'll talk about the very end, the very beginning, and the after credits. Very briefly, after credits. A couple things, both in terms of me loving it and being kind of confused. Marty being back was not explained. Now here's the thing, like I said, they changed some.
You're right.
Marty's appearance is okay, and I think it actually gives hope to everybody that Ragetti and Pintel will be back, because Marty should have been on the Black Pearl when Barbosa was captured. Marty is not on the Black Pearl. He was with Jack, which means they can write into 6 that Pintel and Ragetti were also not on the Pearl at that moment, and so they can come back. Now that is completely fine, but just seeing him back, it's like 4 definitely indicates that you're supposed to be on the Pearl. So, and it just didn't work with the actor or the contract or whatever. But it was a little weird. That was the first thing. A couple other things. Firstly, I was right. It was people were right, and then I also called it before. It was the Wicked Wench, which I loved how they showed that. So that was Beckett's ship. That was when Jack was doing all that stuff. Beckett gave him that ship. That was in the timeline that I had stated in my history. So hashtag Alex was right. I loved how they showed the name. Because they actually showed it for maybe half a second. It was very short. Very short. Yep. When I saw it, I'm like, yes. But see, that's what kind of made it confusing so here's the thing. Here's the part that I was most disappointed in. Jack gets the compass from his captain. But Tia Dama says that she gave him the compass. So that is a blatant. That is a blatant. They did not take that part of 2. And what upsets, it doesn't upset me, because like I said, I'm going to give it to them. I will give it to them. I don't like it, but I'm going to give it to them because it's just weird that literally the scene before it, they showed the Wicked Wench, which means they know the history. They know 3. They know they know the deleted scenes of 3. They know that they know what Jack's ship used to be called. They understand the Davy Jones, like that just by showing the Wicked Wench shows that these directors know everything about the history of it. But then you show him getting the compass from the captain, and Tiadama says in 2, the compass, you bought it from me, it doesn't lead you to it. So they didn't take that part of 2. That's just a blatant, we don't care what she said. Very weird.
That's a
very,
really good point.
Captain Teague was on that ship. I kind of like that part. If you look behind him, his father was back there. That was him. That was supposed to be young Keith Richards. Yeah. I was looking for him, and that was him behind him. I don't like how he didn't speak. I would have
behind
liked
him
it.
In what scene?
The very last scene when it shows the hat, and then Jack looks at when they're putting down all these things.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Teague is right behind him in his orange or in his reddish coat. So
I saw the guy. Didn't look.
Yeah, that's him. So that is kind of cool. We'll talk about the beginning, but showing the name The Flying Dutchman on the back of the ship, and I watched SFZ's video, his review, and he said it. I don't like that.
I understand why they did it, though.
The Flying Dutchman doesn't have a name on the back of the ship. It was never shown before. Never shown. The Flying Dutchman doesn't have the name on there in 2 or 3. So it's very weird.
You're positive?
I'm positive they never show it. Not that I'm not sure but like
I know. I actually was gonna tell you I liked.
You liked
that
it?
They showed it, and the reason I liked it not for myself. I liked it for people like my girlfriend who, doesn't follow as closely as we do.
Yeah.
And newcomers.
That's a good point.
To be like, oh, the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah.
So that way, when they go watch the other ones, if they didn't watch them yet, or if they saw them a long time ago, they're like, oh yeah, that's okay. So that's Davy Jones' ship.
I mean,
that's why. That's why they did it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It was for people that didn't know. I just didn't like that it showed the whole ship come out of the water first, and we saw it pan the ship. We saw its mouth, and by the way, the Flying Dutchman, that looked so cool. Seeing it again,
that was awesome.
Like it rising when Henry dropped, but seeing its name,
cool scene,
seeing its name was. But so I'll say the whole beginning. You say the beginning, and then we'll do the ending. The beginning. Really good. Best opening in any of the Pirates movies, in my opinion. Showing all like the myths. You see the mermaid, you see the Kraken, and that's mentioned later on too by Karina to Henry, the Kraken and the mermaid. So that's cool. They know about 4 and 2. But seeing Henry try and kill himself to bring the Dutchman back up, seeing the Dutchman come, Will being kind of a very like darkish character. Very like heavy-footed. I like it when like you hear the crew, and he's like they know you're on the ship. Like that was cool. He's like you can kind of that was kind of left to your imagination. Like you don't know what the crew looks like anymore, but like you can hear their like scuffling. So that was neat.
Well,
and
they seemed mad. So I assumed that they were mad because they all probably have barnacles too.
Yeah.
On their face, but they don't understand why.
Yeah.
So they're probably mad, like it's happening again, like you know what I mean, like we're transforming again. And then that was cool.
Yep, and I mean when the kind of father-son relationship they had in that scene, every part of that scene was really good. That like them hugging, him saying "I love you," him saying something, and then Henry said like about the curse on you and Captain Jack Sparrow, and then Will said don't go anywhere near Jack Sparrow. Stay away from Jack Sparrow. And then when the ship starts to go back under and it starts to flood itself, like that was the best opening in the movies. So what'd you think of it? Really fast.
I agree with that. No, I agree with everything you just said. There's really nothing for me to. It was seeing Henry look down at his father, and then Will looking up as the ship was going down. Like that was awesome too.
Yeah, definitely.
When I saw Henry looking down, I'm like, please God, please make Will look up while he's descending, and they did.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a cool dynamic.
Definitely.
But yeah, that was really great.
Yeah, and then the ending, which actually Barbosa's death was very sad and like hit me like emotionally, but the musical cues, like I said in the spoiler-free part, when once the Dutchman goes completely underwater and Henry's like left on the boat, it's what's it called? One Day. It's the song that you like.
Yeah.
It's the ending of 3 again. And then when Will sees Elizabeth, that scene was cool. When he sees her and he gets excited and they run together, they hug and then they kiss. It played the song that it played when he was leaving her on the island in 3. And that was arguably more emotional to me than Barbosa's death. Like it carried a lot because like you get to see them again and it had the same music. And that's what I was kind of alluding to earlier. Like it's a breath of fresh air because like they're back, they can actually be together. And the last time you heard that song, it was emotional for a different reason. It was because they had to separate for 10 years, but now they're back.
Right.
So the song, like its purpose was different, but it was just as good, obviously. But I think it was better how they used it. And then seeing Jack, I actually do like the line Jack said. I kind of thought he would just smile when he saw them kiss, but then when he said like that's a terrible sight or whatever he said, I kind of liked that. That was a funny line.
It's a revolting.
Revolting sight.
That's truly revolting sight.
Yeah, like it followed what he would say that we saw in Pirates 5, so that made sense in how they did it. And then the very ending with him standing on the ship smiling, and then the monkey drops the compass on his hand and then crawls up on his shoulder, just like with Barbosa. That was actually a pretty cool like little thing, in my opinion, like seeing the monkey on his shoulder. The ending was definitely good.
Actually. And it felt like, okay, on to a new adventure.
Right. And now, Tyler...
Because even Jack like nods his head.
Right. And we didn't talk about this. Jack, I'm gonna watch it again a couple days from now, and I think we'll probably talk about in discussion. He says, what's the last... He has He has something beyond the horizon.
I have a, what did he say?
See, I know.
Started with an R, I think.
Rendezvous?
Oh,
Rendezvous, yeah.
I think I have a rendezvous,
Beyond...
I can't say it. Rendezvous? I have a rendezvous.
Just go past it.
Oh, maybe I had too much to drink like Jack. I have a rendezvous beyond the horizon or something like that.
Now, I don't think it wasn't beyond the horizon because that was a title, but it was two of those words. I think it was past the horizon or over the horizon. You think that could be the title of the...
No, he did say beyond.
Beyond a horizon?
He said beyond... He either said beyond the or beyond my. But he did say beyond and horizon.
Yeah. I like that line, and I think that could potentially actually be the title if it's not something epic like your Sea of Wrath. I could see that potentially being something. Because they do kind of do that with the last lines of movies.
The problem is that sounds too hopeful, which I'm not...
Yeah, that's a good point.
John Swindle who came up with the name. I actually really do like that. And when I heard that, I thought of John Swindle, if it was him, which I believe it was him.
I think it was.
Beyond the Horizon. I'm like, oh, that's really crazy. He probably saw the movie like a year ago, and he didn't tell us about it, you jerk. But it's too hopeful for the next movie, I think, which we'll talk about. But it would be the perfect title for a relaunch. Or like a spin-off, like a totally new event, like a totally new separate, like almost Pirates group, like how we were saying, like Pirates. What I thought 7, 8, 9, which is a Pirates of the Caribbean story. It's a spin-off. Does not have to do with Jack Sparrow, but it has to do with Henry and Karina. I think like Beyond the Horizon would be a perfect title for that. Right. It sounds hopeful and it sounds something. It's like something new. And so, now, is that all you had to say? Because I had one thing to say about the ending, and I had one other point to make, so I can say hashtag Tyler might be right.
Go ahead.
I'll say the hashtag Tyler might be right. So, Karina was a horologist, not that kind, but she studies time. What did I say that Pirates 7 They should do, especially with my Pirate 7, what I said for Pirate 7,
Yep.
Order of the Golden Dawn. What does Henry and Karina do? They go back in time. Boom.
Yep.
They might have already set up time travel.
I think
Henry
they did.
studies time.
I think they did.
She's a scientist. I think that they did too, because now she still has the book. I think I called time travel on Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yep.
What? Anyways, so I actually thought that was a very interesting point, because
Yeah.
it really didn't have much to do with what they were doing. But anyways,
And the comedy sequence that followed, that was good.
correct. That was funny. That was very funny. She doesn't have a donkey. But anyways, the ending. One thing I didn't like, because it's confusing, is that how did Will know to meet them there on that day at that place?
Well, that was the same.
My own answer exactly is because of the lighthouse.
Yeah, that was the same
So
place.
he probably knew, like, well, Henry came to me like 4 or 5 times, whatever, however many times it was, from this location.
Yeah.
So this must be where they are.
Well,
but that still doesn't answer the question as to how Elizabeth, who, by the way, if you notice, the civilization is quite far. That was a good 15-20 minute walk for Elizabeth to come over a hill, because we didn't see her. She came over a hill, so that means she can't see the ship. And Henry and Karina come from a totally different direction, the lighthouse. So unless Henry, but it's in the day, so unless Henry had the light on all night, I still can't understand how Will happened to go to that spot and have Elizabeth, like, all at the same time.
The Elizabeth part
then,
is,
you know what I mean?
The Elizabeth part's a little more confusing, but the rest of it, lighthouse, same spot that Henry kept meeting Will. During the day, that day, it could be as simple as the curse was lifted then and there, and the first thing Will did was sail to that spot. That's easy. That's my personal view of it. That's what I think. As soon as he realized the curse was done, he sailed right to that island. Which also was probably, and it makes a lot of sense, that was Elizabeth's home. That was where she lived. And so that's how Henry got quick access back and forth. And so how did Elizabeth know?
We definitely, for sure, that's why Henry always came from there. Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, I don't, the Elizabeth thing, how she knew, because how Henry would know, like,
maybe they just told
Dad's
her.
going to be coming today.
Yeah.
How is Henry going to know?
Well, like I said, I think they could have just said, hey, all curses just got broken like 10 hours ago. Dad probably realizes he's not a ghost pirate, and he's probably going to come over here. That's honestly...
The problem is, though, that they were, who knows where they were, how far, it could have been like a 3 days travel back to that, So that's just my... Like, I understand what you're saying, which is, basically what you're saying is what I'm going to have to adopt for myself.
Yeah.
But I wish there was I wish that they would have shown, like, night and Henry, like, shining the light.
Yeah. Well, it's also possible that Will could have been keeping an eye on him. You know what I mean? Could have been watching.
He couldn't, because he didn't even know that was Henry at first. He's like, Henry?
Oh, that's true. That's true. He didn't know.
He's like, let me get a look at you. You look like me, but better. But anyways, yeah. So that was my one.
Did you? Now,
that was weird.
Very last thing. Did you like how? Because I didn't necessarily know how they were gonna do it. Did you like it how Henry was looking through the glass, saw the ship, saw people coming from the ship, but then Will was right there standing there? That was epic. That was really good. That was great.
I wasn't actually expecting that.
Yeah, me neither. I thought it was gonna, like, pan out and show him sailing and they'd meet him or something. But then he was, like, right there. It's like, this is cool.
I didn't think it was gonna be like that.
That is the end of our Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales review. If you want to know our opinions on the after credit scene, we have a full video dedicated just to that on our channel. Go check it out. We break it entirely down. I'll say right now that I absolutely loved it. But we won't go any further than that. We'll talk completely about it, everything we think about it. We'd love to hear from you guys as to what you thought of it. And in general, what did you think of Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales? Spoiler-free, spoiler-filled, whatever you want to say, put in the comments below. We'll talk about it for Monday's discussion video. Thank you guys so much for watching all of these. Like we said previously, we really appreciate it. It's finally here. Pirates is out. We saw it. kind of sad that it's over in this way, but there's more to come for absolute sure, as long as this movie does well enough, which I really do think it's going to do fantastic. So thank you guys as always for watching. Go watch our other videos, and we will see you on the next one.